Hi guys, welcome back or welcome if you're new. My name is Tiana and I'm the maker behind Also Stitched, and today we have market prep video. Everything that I have made in the past week in the preparation for my next uni market. If you have watched my market vlog, then you know that I have sold a lot of plushies and I need to remake all of them to keep up with my stock for the Supernova market, which is in only 2 months, and I'm already stressing, I'm not gonna lie. But before we jumped into everything that I've made this week, I want to show you a bigger yarn haul, unplanned yarn haul. Well, on Monday, Easter Monday actually, I went to Spotlight because I needed some buttons for my cardigan that I'm knitting, and I was like, I'm just gonna go to Spotlight. I don't expect anything. I wanted to see the new yarn that they got in stores, but unfortunately my store didn't receive new yarn. So I went in just with thought, I'm gonna buy buttons and I'm gonna buy one skein of black Modavira blankie yarn just in case on the next market I sell toothless that I can make another one. And oh boy, I did not expect to see 2 full bins of mill ends. Usually my Spotlight has only 1 bin with mill ends and it's usually half full, sometimes even third full with acrylic yarn. This time there were 2 massive bins, not just level full, they were full with blanket yarn, and my thought was, oh no. I got FOMO instantly because blanket yarn usually in mill ends in Spotlight is Burnett yarn, and we can't get that very cheap in Australia. The cheapest we can get is around 26 Australian dollars if you buy it online. I think Amazon has some, and I know Wool Warehouse, I think they're pricing it around $26 or $27, which is usual price. But to get it in mill ends, and this time mill ends were on sale. Mill ends were only 7 Australian dollars, and in mill ends we get 400 grams, while Burnett blanket is 300 grams. That is like winning a lottery. That is something you don't want to miss out. You have to have it. And I did. I decided I'm gonna buy a couple of them, and that was actually before I even went to search for my buttons. I didn't dig through the bins because I know I cannot carry. I don't have trolley or anything like that. I can grab as much as I can carry, and that was my limit. There was so many colors and multiples. I left behind all the colors that I already have in my stash that I didn't wanna double up. I usually buy 2 bags of each colors, and there were a lot of colors that I already had 2 bags in my stash. So I went through the colors and decided to choose whatever was new to me. There were so many white and off-whites, grays, blues, all of that I already have in stash. I'm gonna show you every single day of them. I did repurchase only 1 bag just because I like the color, and I'm not even sure if that is Burnett blanket. I think it might be. Some of these I'm not sure if they are all Burnett blanket because in the mill ends they also had Value Ball Rainbow blankie yarn that was released last year in Spotlight. That was also in mill ends, and I didn't buy any of those because I still have all of those colors in my stash. So I decided to skip that. I grabbed 7 bags and then I went to search for my buttons, and I was struggling holding those 7 bags, 7 times 400 grams. It's a lot to carry. I managed to find my buttons and I was happy. I find my buttons, I have my yarn. I also had a gift card from Litsa from Coco's Crochet here on YouTube. That is the gift card she gifted me in one of the vlogs if you have watched that. Thank you so much, Litsa, for that. So technically I didn't pay anything for those 7 bags because each bag was $7. That was $49 plus buttons, and technically I didn't pay for any of those yarns. I bought 2 sets of buttons because I couldn't decide which size I want, and I asked lady, is it possible to return the buttons if one of them is not the correct size? And she said yes, fine. 3 days after, I decided that I want to go back to Spotlight to return those buttons and buy a Modavira black blankie yarn because guess what? I forgot it. Once I reached the mill end and buttons, I lost my train of thoughts and I forgot that I actually had to buy the black Modavira blankie yarn. So I went back to return the buttons and to get my black Modavira blankie yarn, and honestly I thought I wouldn't find any mill ends because there were a lot of people on the first day and it was very busy and I really thought it's gonna sell out, but no. 3 days after I arrived to my spotlight again, the bins were full, overflowing again. I don't know if they have top up them or I don't know. I managed to find more colors because the first time I was there I wasn't digging deep because there was plenty on top and I couldn't buy everything and I didn't want to buy everything. I have nowhere to store them. I went back and I was shocked because I found some good colors, even better than I saw the first time. I bought another 9 bags. I have all of them here, so that is 16 bags. I'm gonna show you quickly the colors. I'm not gonna go through them in detail because there's no point, but I'm just gonna show you the colors. Just to let you know, by the time you're watching this, that was 10 days ago. I cannot guarantee you that Spotlight still has mill ends, but I also know that Litsa went to Spotlight and she bought a lot. I assume she will feature that in one video. And then I messaged Kim to let her know that I left a lot of colors in my Spotlight, so she better hurry up. So I cannot guarantee you that you will find any mill ends if you go, but go check. I think going into winter is when the Spotlight likes to fill the bins with blanket yarn because we are in a season for a blanket yarn. Keep an eye on mill ends because now is the season. Okay, I don't know the order that I bought them and it really doesn't matter. I'm just gonna show you the colors. I'm gonna pull them out of the bag so you don't have to listen to the crinkling and watch the glare of the plastic bags. So stay tuned. This is the first time that I've seen this color of mill ends. This is definitely Bernat blankets just by the softness. I don't know the original names in Bernat blanket because I don't buy a lot of original Bernat blanket. The only Bernat blanket original that I have ever bought was from Hobby when they had their, I guess, glitch sale. I don't know what happened, but I was paying them for only $3 and I bought a lot, like a lot. So this is like yellowish mustard color. It is the best color. I usually make chicken nuggets in this color. I was thinking maybe making a dragon. I really love this color, so I know I'm gonna use it a lot. And actually I could make also my Andarna Didi the Dex snuggler. Bernat blanket works very good with Elise Veluto. I do have a lot of colors of Elise Veluto still in my stash. I have almost 80 skeins in my stash. So Bernat blanket and Elise Veluto is very good to mix and match and work together. So I was really happy to have now 400 grams of this color. I couldn't find a second bag. If there was a second bag, I would probably buy another one, but there was only one bag of this yellow. More like a golden color. Some of these yarns I have already worked with and will show with my makes after the haul. I bought 2 of these. I bought one on my first visit and then the second one on my second visit because I love the color. This is, I assume, Bernat Mystical, but I'm not sure which black one. I did look on their website and there are a couple of colors in this black one, so I just went with this Bernat Mystical in black. So I bought 2 because I can easily make dragons out of this. And here is what I'm confused about. Mill ends are usually, like the word says, mill ends, and usually if the Bernat blanket is sold in 300 grams, if they reach an end when they are milling or winding their yarn, they usually put the leftovers in a mill ends. This is one massive huge ball of 400 grams, and I don't know how this ends up being a mill end when this could easily be a 300 gram Bernat blanket and then 100 grams only left over as a mill end. The reason this is in mill ends could be the quality, because I can tell you that this is not the nicest and the softest Bernat blanket I have touched. It definitely has some texture and roughness to it, and the other reason some balls end up in mill ends are the colors, the dyes. Probably if the dye lot is not looking good or the closest to the original planned dye lot, they put it in a mill end. So I'm not sure if this yarn could be any better, but I love it. I worked with it and it works fine for me. I have no issues. I do have a lot of bad Bernat blanket, but I'm working through it and I'm not very fussy about it because it still works. If you have ever worked with Modavira blanket yarn, then this is super soft for you. Even the Yaki Bernat blanket yarn is super soft for you, because Modavira blanket yarn, same as Snug as a Bug, are very thick yarn yarns and they're very heavy on my hands, but I still love to make plushies out of them. So 2 bags of the black Bernat blanket. This was a score. This was a bargain. Let me tell you, this is the first time I saw a red and I recognize this red. This is Bernat blanket crimson red. Crimson. I hope you pronounce it like that. I love this red. I made my Pyre, the dragon, the biggest dragon that I have made for the Supernova and sold over there. I have a video about it. I made my dragon out of this thread and I really do love this thread. Camera is actually not showing the correct color. It's a bit blowing out, so it's not showing the correct color, but here is the original Bernat blanket. Yeah, crimson, that's what the name is. So this is my original Bernat blanket and this is what I got in Mill, and you can see it is the exact same color and they do feel a bit different. Now that I have the original, it's very nice and soft, and this one is a bit rough. There is a bit texture to it, so this could be the reason why some of these colors end up in the Mill ends because of the texture issues, but I'm still fine with this because, like I said, this yarn is like almost $30 skein. So to have it for $7, I got 400 grams. So just to show you, it's more. I'm not showing you everything because I don't want to crinkle with these bags. This is just the half of the bag what I got for only $7. This is the only yarn that I have repurchased. I think I bought originally 2 skeins of this. I'm not sure how much I have left over because they're all in my bags. This is also a bit rougher and different to the touch. You can see how flattened they are, and I don't know, there is something going on with these yarns. That's why they are in mill ends. But when they are worked out, you can't tell the difference. So I just love these colors. I loved making drift in these colors, so I bought another bag just to have it in my stash. I managed to find blue. This is more like a mystical denim blue. Like I said, I don't know the original names of the Bernat mystical. We don't get the labels, so it doesn't matter really. They're all coming from mill ends. So yeah, this was lovely. I only found 1 bag of this. So here are some other colors that I got, and I only managed to find 1 bag per each color, and I just bought this for funsies. I'm not sure what I'm gonna make. Why not stash and have it because they are cute colors. Let me just show you an example how this is a true mill ends, because you get a 4 small balls in 1 bag, which just shows you that that was an actual mill end, because this is definitely the softer one, and once they reached the end and they were left with 100 grams, they packed it in a bag or 400 grams, and this is a true mill end, and it's really nice and soft. Then I got this one. I already worked this one. You will see I made chickens out of this. It is really nice and good color. So I got 1 bag only of this color. I got only 1 bag of this color. I assume these are all Bernat colors. I'm not sure which, but they all look like Bernat. I already worked on this one too. There was not a lot of greens, but this was actually the first time I found greens in mill ends, and I wish I could have found 2 bags per each color. I did check online and these both colors exist in mystical, but I don't know their names. So there are 2 different types of colors in green, and I love them both. They are both very soft and very nice, and I haven't worked with them yet, but I know they will work beautifully. But they are really nice and soft. I just wish I could have had 2 bags per each color. Unfortunately, I only found 1. So this is again 1 huge massive ball, and there were 2 smaller balls in this bag. And last but not least, I was surprised to see these because these are one of my favorite colors. I managed to find this pinky and this orangey one. They're all Bernat mystical, and they are so beautiful, so nice and soft and squishy, and I got 2 bags of each color, and I was so lucky to find this, and I was able to get 2 bags of each color. So these are really nice and soft and fluffy, and this was a bargain, guys. This is 16 bags, 16 different colors, and I was so lucky to have them. The next time I went to Spotlight, mill ends were no longer $7, they were $8 $40. It was a weird price. I've never seen that price. I didn't even ask for what was the sale going on, but still, that was still a bargain for 400 skeins of yarn. Alright, so that was my Mill Ends haul, and guess what? I did buy my black Modavira blankie yarn in the end. I remember to buy it on the second trip, so yeah. In case my toothless sells, I'll be able to make another one. You need 2 balls to make a toothless, not 2 full balls, but 1 ball is not enough. Let's start with everything I made this week. Actually, it was 2 weeks between my markets, but I didn't crochet for the 2 full weeks. We are on school holidays, we had a lot going on. My son had a foot surgery, so I was in between doctors and specialists, and after that we took a couple of days just to do family trips. We went to Taronga Zoo. It was so much fun. We really enjoyed. So in between those 2 markets, even though it was 2 weeks, I only had 1 week to crochet. And honestly, I'm really surprised. I have a dollar value of everything that I have crocheted in this week because I was trying to remake everything that I have sold on my last uni market, which was exactly $1,000. I knew I wouldn't be able to reach that, and I didn't, but I'm happy how close I was because lately I have not been crocheting a lot. This market has really shaken me just to wake me up how much I need to prepare for Supernova if I want to have enough stock, because before Supernova I still have 5 uni markets and 2 artisan markets. That's a lot, and there is a chance for me selling a lot of stock and not making enough. I really need to gear up and crochet a lot more, and I'm happy that this week I achieved that, and I'm just gonna go through everything. There is really a lot. I was focusing on the smaller makes because if you saw that video, I sold a lot of plushies between $20 and $30, so that was my main focus. So let's just start with what I did. Let me just put the rifts out of the side because we all know what the rifts are, and I made 6 of them. On my uni market, I sold 3 of them, and I managed to remake 5 of them. I thought I made 6 of them. Maybe I find another one. Maybe I have... No, I actually made 5 of them. I just checked my spreadsheets. I have everything in my spreadsheet. So I managed to make 5 of them. I sold 3 of them. I'm selling these for $18, and they were really good seller last time. These are all made from the Mill Ends. This is the new Mill End yarn. Some of my old ones. This sold last time, and this is also another Mill End yarn. So yeah, I made just 5 of them in different colors because they were very popular and they got a lot of attention. I was thinking of raising some of my prices, and I did raise some of them. I will show you which ones, but for this one I'm really happy with $18 because they were a really good seller, and I was scared if I raised them to $20 that they might not be selling, but I would rather sell them because they're just the Mill Ends yarn. The yarn is very cheap and they are really quick to make. It is not just that I did remakes. I have some new plushies, so stay tuned for that. I will show them in the end. But part of my remakes were my tofu turtles. They are really selling good, and I'm selling these for $25. So I made 2 pinks and 2 purples because those were my best seller. Last time I only had 1 of each and they sold pretty quickly, so this time I made 2 of these colors. I also have the traditional green and peachy color, and no one's even looking into this. These were the best colors to sell, and I also have blue ones, but like I said, pink and purple is always a good seller. For my keychains, I sold last time black and gray kitten. I managed to make 2 gray kittens. I still have 2 days until my market, and I'm gonna try make some of my keychains, and everything that I make I'm gonna show you in my market vlog on the day. Just like the last time when I was filming, I showed everything that I made in those couple of days since I'm filming this and till market. So yeah, just 2 gray kittens. These are Poggy's Place. I'm not telling you all the patterns, but if you're familiar, all my patterns are gonna be linked down below. Most of these patterns are are paid for patterns from Etsy. Whatever is free is from Instagram, and everything will be linked down below. I apologize if I'm rushing through some of these patterns, but these are all my remakes and you have seen me making this a lot over the past year, so that's why I'm kind of rushing through some of these patterns, but like I said, everything is gonna be linked down below. One of my good sellers on Unimarket were chickens, and I usually make my chickens in Hobby Toucan or just chenille yarn, and I sold one white and I also sold one fluffy one that I made in Yarn Smith's Flurry yarn. I still have one white chicken in my stock, but I decided that I want to make them a bit bigger with all these mill ends yarn that I have just got, and I'm actually gonna price them 25. Last year I've priced my chickens for 25, and then this year I lowered price to 20, 22 depending on the yarn, but I want to go back to $25, but I'm gonna make them bigger. This is the size of the chickens that I'm going for now because I'm using mill ends yarn, which is Bernat blanket yarn. Bernat blanket is obviously bigger than chenille yarn, so that's why I got a bit bigger chickens, and as you can tell I am focusing on Stardew Valley chickens. So we have a black chicken which is also in Stardew Valley with pink beak. I have two of those. I have two of blue chickens. I have this classic, this is more like orangey but brownish orangey color, and I didn't want to go with a classic white. I went with this from Mill Ends, and this really looks good. So I do have two of each color. So that was 8 chickens in total, and I'm really happy with that because those were really good seller last time. We'll see how they will go this time. My chicken and eggs were not in a good spot last time. That's why they didn't get a lot of attention, and there's nothing I can do about that. I cannot put everything up front in the first spot, and I'm just not gonna stress over that because there is really no place for me to put everything up front to be the best seller. I'm just happy to have some things at the back. Also, for my next market, I'm gonna reduce my stock. Last time I went with 4 bags of plushies. This time I'm just gonna go with 3 bags because in the end I didn't even put up my lovies. I didn't put some of my multiples. For example, hoodie bears. I just put a couple of bestsellers out to draw attention, but they were just not selling. I'm still gonna keep them, but I'm just gonna keep the nicest one. The rest I'm just gonna keep in my back stock. And also my snakes were not selling. For some reason snakes are having a hard time getting any attention. I might bring them. I will see what I will bring for this market. I also think I'm gonna bring my hair cloths just because this market I used to work with my friend, and she also had a scrunchie business same as I did, and we used to do all the markets together as scrunchies. We were competing with each other, but I never actually was competing with her because I'm not that type of person. So in the end I slowly phased out my scrunchies while she still kept working on them. But this year she is not there. I haven't seen her listed on any of our markets, so I'm thinking just bringing my hair cloths and selling them fairly cheap just to de-stash them. Since I will be the only one with hair cloths, maybe they will start selling because I do have a lot of them, and I don't want to make any more profit because I have kind of paid off all of those hair clips. I don't need any more profit on those. Those were paid for like 4 years ago, but I still have a lot of stock that I'm just gonna reduce the price and de-stash them marked down heavily. So I will also have some hair clothes on my table this time. Let me see what else I have. I'm left with Pokémons. That's the only thing that I have to show you, and a couple of new makes. Let's go with the biggest ones first because of course I had to remake Umbreon. Umbreon sold very quickly. One of my repeated customers bought it and I decided I'm gonna make another one. So yeah, just the Snuggle Beans evolution patterns. I made another Umbreon. I'm selling these for $75 and they were selling really good, so why change the price? I'm happy with 75. They are a bit more work than any other splooters just because they have a big ears, they have big tails, so yeah, I'm really happy with 75 Australian dollars for it. So we have Umbreon and of course we have Espion. Both of those sold last time very quickly and I knew I'm gonna remake them. I'm gonna keep remaking them as long as they are selling. My only problem is gonna be I think I have enough black and purple to make 2 more, maybe 1, and then I will have to think about replacing my Hobby Toucan yarn because I can no longer get this yarn. I think the only yarn that will work with Hobby Toucan is probably Parfait Chunky, so I'll have to look into buying Parfait Chunky, which I'm really not happy because it's very expensive here in Australia. It is double the cost that I paid for Hobby Toucan, so that's really sad. Yarnsmith's Chunky yarn would be the closest and cheapest for me, but it is a bit thicker, so I will have to see if I will use that one or maybe I'll decide. I still have time to decide which yarn I'm gonna choose to replace my Hobby Toucan because it has to be chenille and yeah. We'll see. After I've sold both Espion and Umbreon on my uni market, I remembered that I need Sylvian. And last time I talked to Shannon was back in January when we were talking about the Sylvian and when she was sending me her prototype photos. Then I reached out to her again just to check how she's progressing with Sylvian because she mentioned that Sylvian is gonna be out somewhat in February, end of February, and it's April already. So I reached out just to check on that and she said it is still coming. I honestly had a fear that she might not come with Sylvian since everything with Pokemon is going on, but she said it is coming. She's very busy and she's releasing all the other splooters and I understand it's a lot of work. So Sylvian is coming, guys. I've been asking Shannon for Sylvian for such a long time and it's gonna come in a bundle with another 2 Pokemon. She mentioned which ones, but it wasn't 100%, so I'm just not gonna reveal what the other 2 Pokemons are, so stay tuned for that because we will have another bundle with splooting Pokemons coming. I'm hoping that that's gonna be before June so that I can have those for my Supernova market. And I'm really excited for Sylvian because I did sell small Sylvian version, but I didn't remake her just because those bows are really hard and I made my last Sylvian in Modavira blanket yarn and last time I told you that I sold her for $25, but that's not true. She sold for $35 just because she was bigger, because she was made in Modavira blanket yarn. But oh well, all of this to say we will have splooting Sylvian coming out soon, so as soon as Shannon from Snugglebeans Crochet release it, I will be happy to share it here with you because trust me, I will be the first one to make it as soon as it's out. I'm so excited for that one. And I replaced some of the smaller Pokemons. I sold 7 on my last market and 1 on my market before, so technically I'm missing 8 of them, but I just couldn't. I just wasn't in the mood to make all of them. So I made again Umbreon and Espion because they were the first ones to go. I guess they are the most popular, so why not? I just made 2 of those. And I'm selling my Pokemons for $25. Originally I wanted them to be all the same price because they are the same size, but in reality they cannot be the same price because these guys take a long to make because they have all these bells and whistles and there is a lot more work here than it is, for example, in Snorlax. Snorlax has a color change and he's pretty quick to make even with color change compared to everything that you have to make for Espion. She has 2 ears, she has tail that has 2 parts, and then you have all these back ears, and then you have a dot on her head to sew. So comparing these 2, this is so much work and she's selling so much better. I mean, they both sold, don't get me wrong, but she is very popular and she's selling really good. So I just couldn't justify selling these guys for $25. So I will be raising price for some of my Evolution Pokemons to $28. It's not a huge difference. It's still under 30, but these are gonna continue being 25 and these are gonna be 28. At the moment, everything that is tagged for 25 from my last batch, I'm just gonna keep it as 25. And then, for example, Evie is still tagged as 25 and I'm just gonna leave it for 25. And if it sells, I might raise her to 28 also. All of these mini Pokemons are back made studio patterns. Like I said, they're all gonna be linked down below. And since I was making Snorlax, I decided to make a Moslax. He's been very popular with Pokopia game and I wanted to keep him simple because I didn't want to price him more than 25. He originally needs like a leafy necklace, like a second layer in a darker color, which I couldn't be bothered to do, and he needs a flower on top of his head. But to keep him the same price as Snorlax, I decided not to do anything on top of him and just keep him green to see if people will recognize him. Is he gonna be popular as the Snorlax? So I just made one Moslax just to see how popular he is gonna be, and to keep the price fairly cheap, I made him without any bells and whistles. Those are the only Pokemons that I did. So I made 4 Pokemons from Beck's Made Studio, but I could not make Ditto because with everything and Pokopia going around, Ditto is definitely trending the most. I wanted to have it to offer it. And here is mine one. This is a free pattern. All my free patterns are gonna be linked down below. Look at the size of him. He is very small and he is a lot of work. I'm not gonna lie. He took me an hour to make. Nothing complicated. It is just a bit fiddly because you need to make all of these circles, then you finish with circles, then you have 2 arms that you have to sew on. He's cute, I'm not gonna lie. I was struggling to price him because if I compare him to Espion, for example, there is a lot more stitches in this, which someone who is not crocheting is not gonna understand this. And this is chenille yarn, while this is Elise Veluto yarn. So he's definitely more work, and I'm pricing this 28. My original thought was to price him 35, and my daughter said no. She said that is too much. I asked her if 32 would be okay, and she said better go around 30. So I'm gonna go with 30 for now and see how popular he will be with Pokopia and everything else. I'm also waiting for another pattern. Someone is about to release a no-sew or low-sew pattern for Ditto, so I'm waiting for that pattern to see if it's gonna be better version than this, because like I said, you're making 3 different circles that then you're connecting them to crochet in the round, and then you're finishing with 2 circles and having 2 arms to sew on. So I'm curious about the new pattern. A lot of people are doing Ditto now because he is trending and popular, so we will probably have more patterns coming out, and then in the end I will choose the one that is the fastest and the best looking for what I'm looking for. I love the look of this one, don't get me wrong. It is the perfect hand size. You can see how big it is. I'm not sure if this is he or she, who cares? It doesn't matter, the gender. So yeah, I really love the size, I love the look, but we'll see if there will be a better patterns coming soon. This is a free pattern off of Instagram, so it was really easy to make, and I do see myself making more of this, especially in this color, because I have so much of this yarn and I'm really struggling to use it. And if I can use all of this purple just on making Dittos, I will be happy too, because I want to destash this yarn because it's not my most used yarn. So we have 1 Ditto. My next plushie was I needed Totoro, and I sold most of my Totoros that I had. I sold them at my uni market, and I was looking for a pattern that is no sew, because the last pattern I had you have to sew the ears on, and I just wanted to make my life easier, and I found this one, which is also a free pattern on Instagram. This looks weird because I made a mistake. I miscounted my rows and he is missing 1 row in his head. He would be a bit taller. In general, I love this pattern. It is very quick and easy to make. You are surface crocheting ears, which is so much easier than sewing them later. I didn't do anything to put white around his eyes, even though on my last ones If you have watched me last year, I was doing that on Cricut and I had felted glued eyes on all of my Totoros, but I just wanted to keep it simple and see how people will react to this one. I originally put $28 price on him, but I think I'm gonna lower him to 25 because with everything that I have shown you for 28, I don't think I can justify him being 28, so I will just lower to 25. As you can tell, I'm sticking my prices between $20 and $30 because that is just that middle ground that students don't have problem paying for, and I'm sticking with these hand size plushies because they are always selling the best. So I made one Totoro. I didn't want to make another one for now just because this one has a mistake, which I don't think anyone will notice. We'll see how long it's gonna take him for sale. They're not selling like crazy selling, but they do occasionally sell, so that's why I only make one. Some of these plushies I'm only making once, and once they sell I will be remaking them. And last but not least, I decided to make another Demogorgon, but this time I made itty bitty Demogorgon. This is pattern from Just a Mom Crocheting. Originally I made her bigger version and I was selling that one for $42 last year and I had hard time selling it. So this year I reduced the price to $28 just to sell it because I wasn't sure if they are still trending. But on my last video everyone commented that they are still trending, that I should still keep on making them, and I decided to go with itty bitty just for the size. Like I said, my hand size. I'm gonna price this one for $28 because then it's gonna be the same price as, for example, Espion, and a bit lower than Ditto. Just for the reference, this is the size difference. So these two are gonna be 28 and this one is gonna be 30. They are all a lot of work when it comes to how small and fiddly they are, but I'm happy with this price. I made this one in Elise Velluto. My last one was made in Hobby Toucan, that's why he was smaller, and my last one on market I sold it for only $28, while this is gonna be $28 too. And I'm okay with that price just because this is Elise Velluto. It is more expensive than Hobby Toucan, and the person who bought it on my last market technically got a bargain because she got a bigger plushie for $28, while from now on I will be selling smaller plushies for $28. But I'm fine with that. She's one of my returning customers and I don't mind that price. So I'm gonna make only one. If they sell, I'm just gonna keep remaking only ones because I'm not sure if I want to get stuck with more of these. Maybe for Supernova I'll make multiples, but we still have time until Supernova to decide about that. So yeah, this is my last plushie that I made this week. Everything that I made in next couple... Oh no, I actually forgot. It wasn't the last. I was putting them away because I didn't have space to have them all. I made my platypuses, platypi, whatever the plural is, you know what I mean. So I decided to make Poggy's Place basic platypus in the brown colors. I used to make them this size in these colors and I decided I'm just gonna stick to this because I was remaking my Perry the Platypus. Perry the Platypus, I had two of them. I sold both of them and I knew I needed more. So I made two more. So these are my Perry the Platypus. I am selling Perry for $20 and the basic one for $18. And that's it. That is actually everything that I made this week. And considering I'm not crocheting a lot, I find this a lot for me. So this was 32 plushies and the total dollar value for all of them is $835, which is very close to $1,000, and I'm happy. To crochet $835 in just a week, I'm really happy. And to remake 32 plushies, it's amazing. I'm still lacking on more keychains and mini plushies, but that's gonna be my future focus. I also thought I would make more of my embroidery snap tabs because I bought all of the Pokémons and I will be making all of the Pokémons in my snap tabs. I just didn't have time to fidget with it because every time you buy a new design, you have to test it, you have to play around with it to see how things work or if there is anything to to change. Usually people don't change things in the designs, but since I can digitize myself and I have softwares, I like to tweak things a bit to make my life easier. And I just didn't have time to sit down and re-digitize any of the new files, so that will be coming in future. So yeah, that is it. My uni market is back this week. The weather is promising. It's gonna be another beautiful autumn day. No rain, no wind, just the sunshine and good vibes. I'm so looking forward. I had an amazing market last time. I'm not expecting to sell as good as I did last time, and I mentioned that was me going back after 6 months, and students were very excited to see me back. If I get 1/3 of that, I will still be happy because it is my most relaxed market and I'm really looking forward to that. So stay tuned for my next video because that is gonna be another market vlog and market recap, and I'm excited to take you along. With all of that, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy crafting!